for the Africa Gold Cup. And of course, it is a double because it is a qualifier for the 2019 World Cup. So whoever wins, either Namibia or Kenya, qualifies directly for the 2019 World Cup. Of course, joining one African country that is already qualified, they qualify automatically. It is South Africa. But who's going to join them? Is it going to be Namibia or Kenya this afternoon? They are calling it the biggest match in Kenya Simbas history. I'm proud to have with me some guys who actually really know the game very well. Bill Githinji, of course, Director of Rugby for Impala, and of course a legend of Kenya Rugby. We've got Ray O'Rourke, of course, renowned rugby referee, and of course a stalwart of the game, involved of course with KCB Rugby. And then Ayumba Ayodi, of course, one of the most renowned journalists in the country, and of course been following rugby very, very closely. Let's start off with you, Bill. Bill, of course, you've been involved in the game intimately at the national level. How big is this game this afternoon?
Oh, this is actually the biggest game ever for Kenya when it comes to rugby. We talk about sevens, we talk about anything. This is the biggest game. And this is a game that we win will transform our rugby tenfold. That's how big this game is.
A lot of changes, of course, have been happening behind the scenes. Ian Snook coming in from New Zealand. We have noticed changes to the game. He's trying to keep possession of the ball more. How have you found the team responding to what he wants on the pitch?
Well, I think the first thing Snook did was make sure that the team gets very fit. And the team has actually gotten very fit. It becomes easier to teach skill when somebody is actually fit. When you're unfit, you're unable to keep possession of the ball. You're unable to execute what your coach wants you to execute. One thing for sure is he's gotten them fit. He's made some changes here and there. You see people like Darwin now playing at 12, Chenge playing at 8. But obviously there are reasons behind his thinking towards that particular goal.
Ray, massive game. You've been following their exploits. They've been doing very, very well. But of course, Namibia is a whole different prospect, especially in Windhoek.
Oh, well, yeah. Everyone has been playing pretty well at home. Kenya has been pretty solid at RFUA, and Namibia has put in some big scores in Windhoek. Difficult hunting place for us in the past. Bill, if I recall, I don't think we've never won in Windhoek.
We've never had a 30-point gap even in Windhoek.
In Windhoek, so it is a massive game, and as Bill says, this is what you're called upon to. The kind of games you look up to when you're a player, and this is what sets you apart if you can go all the way. As Bill says, this will change our rugby tenfold if we can get through this gap.
Ayumba, if you look at the, I like to call them social media warriors, already writing Kenya off, saying that we should prepare for the repechage. A little bit harsh?
I feel them, because you see, it's a shame that Ian Snook came in, actually took over in April, and that is why there is that, misgiving on how the team will perform. Because in 2014, we almost qualified. How long had Jerome Parwaters stayed with the team? For a long time. And then this time around, before 2014, we had very good build-up matches, playing some good test matches, and then we also we participated in Vodacom Cup. This time around, we've not had that. I think that is why many people, analysts, are saying, no, this one, we could not. But anything can happen, because in 2014, who knew we could beat Namibia? Nobody. Just that we cocked up our chances against Zimbabwe, but we could have we could have made it to the World Cup in 2015 in United Kingdom. But I think the team has prepared well. Just as I consider him one of the legends, because he's handled our sevens team. Actually, that is where the sevens team came from Bill Githinji. I think we still have a chance to make it to Japan, but I hope we make it. We've good forwards, we've good backs, but talking to the captain, the team captain, I mean, he's been talking about on the approach against Namibia, of which if they put their heads high, I think we can make it.
The William Mbaka factor, how big is it that he's in the squad, Ray?
I think he adds a lot of value. From when you watch him play the sevens, he's a big lad, good carries. Again, just depends on how you want to deploy him. Several options. I personally, leaving him there, I'd play around with it. Bill would add on to this. He can. My feel is, if you look at the back line the way it is, and the coach has his reasons how and why he's playing Darwin at center, I'd feel he's good on the wide, coming from deep. Willie can also add value at the center. Yeah. Looking at the Namibians, the back line is quite solid, and it's quite fast. So there'll be a mix of both, but the forwards will really have to come to the party in this game.
Exactly. Bill, if we look, we've been having issues with errors, a lot of basic errors on the pitch, and not only that, discipline as well. That's really is going to have to be wiped out this afternoon. The Namibians are known for their discipline, but also that South African factor. A lot of their players are, involved in South Africa, a lot of South African influence in their play, yeah?
Well, I think there's actually a difference of tact. It's not really a South African, because I think their coach is Irish, if I'm not wrong.
Yes. Wales, he's from Wales.
Either Wales or Welsh or Irish.
Yes.
So they've tweaked their game a bit more than we think. But you have to consider something. We've been playing, we've played Zimbabwe, we've played Uganda, Tunisia, Morocco. But if you notice, the guys who've come at us direct have really hit us towards the end of the first half and the beginning of the second half, because these guys run direct. And Namibia is not going to change their game plan. They're going to come at us direct. And if they come at us direct, we're going to be we just have to put our studs down and make sure that we take them on. Because ideally, what is going to happen is that all the teams that have come at us direct have scored more than 20 points on our own pitch, not even away, on our pitch. So if those guys decide that we are coming direct at you, one way or another, we have to change our mindsets. We have to decide what we want. Our back row has to be a lot more solid, and I think that's why you're seeing Nyambu has come in as opposed to starting with our man of the match last week was Owila.
Owila, yes.
So those small changes you'll notice are the ones that Snook wants to see. The Mbaka factor. Mbaka is playing for us 11. An 11 ideally is a person who you go to set up play. Exactly. And he's a big boy. He can take that tackle. He can give us go forward ball, and that's basically what we need against any team that you play. Namibia is a tough deal, as Zayodi has put it. We've never beaten them in Namibia. It's going to be a very, very tall order. And at the same time, let's be honest to ourselves. I think this is the easier path to the World Cup. Forget about the repechage. The repechage will be very, very, very difficult.
Yes, yeah.
If you talk about the repechage, you talk about a team like Canada who already have gone into camp at this particular point, and Germany have gone to camp at this particular point, and the repechage is actually in November. So you see, that's how serious these teams are taking it, and we want to come second. We can't afford to come second. This is the easier path. So today, those boys have to really put the bodies on the line. Let it, we say, watch a Kauman. Today is the day.
Let me just quickly, let me ask you about the Kenya Rugby Union. There's been a lot of, they've been in the news for all the wrong reasons. There's a lot of pressure on them financially. You've got Kenya Sevens, who have been doing very, very well, the highest points total in the last World Rugby 7 series. You've got Kenya Simbas on the verge of qualifying for the World Cup. We've been hearing rumbles of grumblings, I would say, of discontent within the technical bench. We saw, of course, the deputy coach go back to New Zealand. We've been hearing the head coach not happy at all about basic things, team bus not being there for them, just them not being able to have international friendlies. They've just been playing amongst each other, to prepare for these matches. How serious is the Kenya Rugby Union in terms of making sure that we get to the World Cup?
I think the union, you see, when Omwela took over, there was a lot that was happening. There was good sponsorship coming in. Tusker managing to bring in some 45 million to see the team go to Vodacom Cup. Sevens team, getting good sponsorship from Kenya Airways on to Sport Pesa. I think they thought this sponsorship will stay for long. They slept on their laurels. When Sports Pesa pulled out, that is where the weakness came in. But I think they need to pull up. Of course, you can't assume you have good products without marketing them well, because it's from the union that comes up with good structures, good planning. Good proposals for sponsorship to come in. As Billy said, you can't expect to reap from where you've not actually sown well. Snook took over actually in April, and the qualifiers started 2 months later. It's like demanding too much from the coach, and then when you have a board that is divided. An example is the saga in London, where the players went on strikes, concealing the sponsors' logo, which was very embarrassing.
Paris, yeah.
You see, until the team decides to do that, there's something happening. At least those directors knew. Some directors knew what was going to happen there. So you'll find that if a team is pulling, others are pulling west, others east, south, west. You really can't put up structures that can really work. The other day, the CEO resigned. Why? Just because of the same issues. Somebody coming up with the suggestions. Somebody somewhere is also despising them, dismissing. We can't have such a board running rugby. We can't. We are doomed to fail if we have such officials in office.
Okay, Bill. Yeah.
All said and done. Let's just put the cards on the table. The Sevens has performed quite well. Getting the 104 points was actually really exciting.
Yes.
They didn't do too well in the Commonwealth, where they came 8th. And I think they came 16th in the World Cup. We are one game away from qualifying for the 15th. You can't actually say the union is doing badly, per se. What we can just say is that the union can do better. Okay, because ideally we would not have been in this kind of situation where we are talking about our Sevens product being quite good, and our 15s actually almost getting where we want them to get. And I think even our juniors have been playing very well. They're second in the continent. So we can't keep saying that we are, we keep bashing the union, but the union actually works very hard to make sure that all these things are going on.
Exactly.
Yes, there are problems. But these are not problems that we have to keep yapping and saying that, the union is messed up, or the union is not able to do this. The union has tried its best to get us to where we are. We're not in a bad place. Let's be honest.
Ray, you're in sports management. Do you think there's an action plan for the next sort of 5-10 years in terms of the Kenya Rugby Union?
I think, to be honest, as Bill said, rugby, the issues around rugby are not special to sports in Kenya. Look around. Look at the federations. You'll only get to hear them, right, when either a team is performing well and is progressing somewhere. That's when these issues come up, and the issues are there. I think it's important that we take stock of where we are, what we've done, and look at what we can change. Yeah. My opinion is that the Kenya rugby issue, issues around the union and the union is the clubs. So when we talk about the unions, Bill is a chairman of a club. We should be taking him to task and asking him who are these you elect in office, right? But where I sit, I think the Kenya rugby issue is a little more systemic other than people. We need to look hard at the structure around how that board is created, so to say. Is it serving us? It served us until now. But now we're seeing the issues. We need to sit, and the clubs need to sit and say, these are the issues, this is what we need to change. Because sometimes we talk about personalities and individuals. That might not, we might change. Sean, we can change and take all of us to that board, but we might still end up with the same issues.
Ray, sorry to interrupt you, but the brand is still very strong. You go to an international match, unfortunately, of course, we were away last weekend, but you go to an international match, family atmosphere, a lot of children coming, also a mix of races as well, which is very important. You know, you see a lot of different races, Asians, white people, black people coming to these events. Rugby is still very strong.
Well, for sure, rugby is, and I don't think, apart from just the numbers that go for football, one place you want to go.
I would go even further, Bill, to say it's actually stronger than football.
No, it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it is.
It is. I mean, rugby, actually, I would say rugby is the most developing, the most fast-rising game in the country. Look at, let's say, for the last, 6 years, who knew rugby would be played in Nanyuki again? Look at Mombasa. Look at Western. We have Western Bulls, we have Cabras. It's developing very fast. And that's, let me just put an example on when Fredo Laws is an Impala, man, when he was the development officer, that is when I witnessed one of the most, growth. It was super. Just to go back to what the coach Gidinji has said, the union, you can't say, they're doing well. But my worry is, let me take you back to 2014, when Kenya went for the World Cup qualifier, that doubled up for the Africa Gold Cup. The team was solid. But who messed our chances of qualifying? It's the board, Kenya Rugby Union board, where they forced the coach to make some changes, bring in fatigued seventh players into the team. We had like 6 changes going into that, into the final match. That is where everything was messed. So my worry is, when we go to this match and we have, the CEO resigning, there's the deputy coach moving away, the technical bench is complaining of the difference, the gap on how they're earning. That is not an good atmosphere. But I like the team manager, Wangila, when he said, no, we are used to that. Just as Orua said, we are used to that. It's not something new. But let it not interfere with the team's performance on the pitch.
All right. I'm just going to ask you, you three, very quickly, your predictions for this afternoon. Basically, who's going to win? Bill, let's start with you. Can we beat Namibia?
My heart really wishes we can. My heart really wishes we can. It's not going to be an easy. It's not going to be easy. But I can't predict that Namibia is going to beat us because I'm Kenyan, and I'm a Kenyan rugby fanatic, and I'm a chairman of a rugby club. I'd always want Kenya to win. Can I pass?
Great. Can we win?
We can win. It's possible. It's doable. I'd also be very unfair. I think KCB contributes about 6-7 players. So for me to say they can't win, we can win. And if we do, it's going to be slim.
All right. Ayumba?
Basing on 2014, I know it's a long time. I think we can win, but it's going to be a tough match, considering how Namibia have been playing, posting those huge scores. They beat Tunisia 118-0. We beat Tunisia 67-0. There's that big difference. It shows they've developed. 2014, actually they went into serious development. While Kenya, we've developed, but not the way we should have done. But anything can happen. 2014, who knew we could beat Namibia? Nobody.
I think I'll just tell you something. We beat Namibia in Madagascar. Madagascar, not in Windhoek.
Yeah, exactly.
It was Madagascar.
Yes.
It was a neutral venue, which I hope we actually were in right
Exactly.
now. If we were in a neutral venue, I'd say we'd beat them.
Exactly.
Okay, but their home has been a fortress for them against Kenya, and obviously, as you talked, you see, you get into the World Cup, you get that $1 million
Exactly.
development fund. And that $1 million development fund for Namibia means everything in their game. And that's what they play for. If you realize, after 2014, I think 2015, they went to one seed.
Exactly.
I mean, they're just relegated. They didn't bother about the games,
bother,
anything.
yes.
You see, so when it comes to the World Cup here, they want to be in 1A and they want to make sure that they're competing for the World Cup. They actually have worked very hard for it, and we have worked hard as well. Mungu awe na sisi tushinde hiyo game.
All right, thanks very much. Of course, Bill Githinji, chairman of Impala Rugby, thank you so much for coming in. Of course, Ray O'Rourke, who's involved with KCB Rugby, thank you so much for coming in. And of course, Ayumba Ayodi, we look forward, of course, to your articles regarding what's happening this afternoon. It is a massive afternoon this afternoon. Of course, the final round of the Africa Gold Cup, but most importantly, it is going to decide who qualifies directly for the 2019 World Cup in Japan. Is it going to be Namibia, who are on home soil? Of course, as you heard Bill Githinji say, it is a fortress for them, almost impossible to beat them at home. But Kenya been in stunning form, 67-0 against Tunisia last weekend, a complete demolition. They've been very impressive under Ian Snooker. Can they do it? It is, of course, happening this afternoon, and of course, we'll update you this evening on the sports news on NTV.
In Rwanda, and we'll be waiting to get their updates from Rwanda in our subsequent bulletins. Moving on, we now shift gears yet again to athletics, where we'll be discussing much more. Remember, it was a somber week again as Nicholas Bett, the 400 meters world champion, was laid to rest. May his soul rest in peace. And I have with me John Vasilin, an ardent athletics reporter and also a writer of the same also. And another writer also in athletics with Daily Nation right here, Ayumba Ayodi, who stays with us from rugby to just tell us briefly. Thank you so much, gentlemen.
Welcome.
For joining me here again. Just briefly, it was a sad week again as Nicholas Bett was laid to rest. Perhaps your message out of it. Starting with you, John.
A rare species. We lost a rare species and someone that brought Kenya to limelight, especially in 400 meters. It's a rare race because it's a dynamic, tactical race, and it's a race that needs calculations. And it's a race that without the knowledge of the know-how, how it's done, you can't make it. You will just be running all over, but you cannot make it. Jumping the 10 hurdles, and then the distance between the hurdles, and then how you lift up yourself. You know, he was just a unique thing that we lost. We really lost a great talent.
All right.
Yeah.
Ayumba, we lost a great talent indeed.
You see, in athletics, especially track, we have two most unique events, and they're very technical. That is steeplechases and the hurdles. In sprints, before 2015 World Championship, we had not won a world title. So on that day, it was a very warm evening. That is when history was made. And that person who made history was Nicholas Bett. Actually, nobody was betting on Bett to win. The focus was on Boniface, even through the qualifiers. The focus was on Musheru. We've lost a legend, a hero. Besides that, I mean, he was humble, disciplined. He's inspired very many youngsters. Look at the youngsters who went for the World Championship, World Junior Championship in Finland the other day. I spoke to most of them. We had a full team. Like before, we only used to have one. Most of them were inspired by what Bet did. So we've lost a good person.
All right, indeed, we lost a good person. But then from the battle that we had on Thursday, a lot of the dignitaries as well as people from the athletics fraternity had so much to talk about. We'll be getting what they said from that in a bit. But then they talked about having a sprints camp as well, something trying to develop what Nicholas Bet himself wanted, John.
To me, those are stories to carry the day, because we have been told over and over and over again, especially for the vice president, to talk about stadiums, to talk about all those things, and he has not done anything. The best example, if the vice president had a heart for athletics, Cameroon Stadium should be up and running by now. But until now, it's a no-go zone. It's a dead. They went, they dug, they destroyed everything that the athletes who live around that area used to treasure, because when you get a track that you train in near your zone or areas, you treasure that thing. But right now, they have to travel all the way. They're not using that stadium. So for me, those were just stories that were telling us we want something to be done, because that is the hub where we have the best of the best. If the government can get serious, we only need just one stadium in that area. Because look at Kipchoge Keino Stadium. It was demolished. When you go there now, everything, iron shirts are all around. So there is nothing these people are saying. We want action. AK, on the other hand, AK has power. AK has Nike. AK has Adidas. They have all these corporate people coming around. They need a marketing team to strategize on how to build on athletics. We don't want just people to go sit at the office, tell stories, standing here, oh, we are going to do this, we are going to do this, and there's nothing they are totally doing. For me, AK is dead, because there's nothing actually tangible. Look at it. Let's be sincere here. Let's be sincere. Since Kiplagat left, is there anything that Athletics Kenya has done that they can point back and say, we did this in our duration? There's nothing that they have done. Athletics, in the management of athletes, we are hearing everything. It's just shambles, because they are not taking any action. We are going to talk about doping. Look at the doping issue. We are just hearing hearsay. There is no unity, or there is no force that we can record. You remember Kiplagat's time? If something like that could have happened, Kiplagat would have called a press conference, and action could have been taken. So for me right now, the stories that we have been we heard or we are hearing from CIMAT, I hope they put them into action.
Ayumba, other than the issue of stadia, which it is an issue that is at least hindering performance of a few of athletes from athletics as well and other sports. But then other than athletics, there is also issue of doping.
Just other than the issue of the stadium, that is sad, because I was very sad. You know, when you see the DP walking down at the ground at Kasarani, that is an old venue. We should be talking of building new stadia. This Jubilee government promised us 5. Now we're into their second term. Nothing is being done. What we are hearing is renovation of Kasarani, renovation of Nyayo. That aside, it's very sad. We need new, modern stadia. Athletics, the people, I mean, the dominant tribe, let's say tribe, we can't get away from that. The dominant tribe is from Rift Valley, where we produce most of these athletes. They have nowhere to train. The Lorna Kiplagat put up a very good venue. I commend her for that. But how many athletes can afford to pay to enter there? Kipchoge Keino Stadium is just in shambles. Let me leave that. Let us go to doping. It's very sad. In the last 3 months, we've had 5 Kenyans being investigated for doping. That is Asbel Kiprop, there is Boniface Mwereza, there is Lucy Kabu, there is Kalel, and of lately there is Kipchoge Bet. We can't sleep on our laurels. as much as we say that an athlete should be responsible to what is going to her body, yes, it should be that way, but we can't sleep on our laurels. How can an underaged athlete take drugs? It means there's somebody behind that. As much as we're focusing on athletes, you can't start pruning bad fruits when the whole tree from its roots is bad. AK and the government must do something. And in fact, it will be in order if we were to declare doping a national disaster. Because we can't go that way. Within 3 months, we have 6. And I'm told there are 6 more cases being investigated. We need to do something. But at the same time, it shows that the systems are working. The systems are working. Because if we expose these cases, I'm sure we are heading somewhere. But the culture of silence. Legendary Paul Telgart, who is now the NOC president, talk about it. We only hear about an athlete finishing serving his doping ban after 3 years. Why didn't they tell us from the word go, we've banned this athlete? No, with that culture of silence, if we have more cases coming up and exposing them immediately, I'm very sure that culture of silence, doping will be reduced.
Keegan Bet, a very young talent that we have there, something that now may hinder his moving forward with his career.
It's shame and it pains me, especially because he's a close friend of mine. The people that I've interacted with in athletics is Keegan Bet and Nicholas Bet. These are just souls that want to talk to you, share things, the humble souls. But it pains me to see such a young talent like this in a situation that he's in. You know, this is a doping violation. So doping violation, skipping 3 times. You know, we can take the recent case of Chess Paul. Chess Paul missed 2 testing, and she came out quickly to the public and said, hey, listen, I have an issue with my management, and if I miss the 3rd testing, I will be banned. Please help me. And people, people ran around with the story so that action could be taken. And we thank God, Court of Tribunal, Sports Tribunal, took charge of it, and Chess Paul went for the 3rd test. Bet has been in this. Bet will never run away from this. You cannot, as an elite athlete, miss 3 times doping. You will never. Missing those 3 times is as well as doping. He has to come and tell us if he has doped or why is he running away from this, from providing the standing to be tested.
I think up to now, the issue of education, I think Athletics Kenya has, they've done a lot. ADAC has done a lot. For example, a case of Mweresa, it's very sad. There are supplements that have been banned. This has been a talk in every championship. All the championship across weekend meetings, we have these anti-doping ADAC officials there, telling them on supplements that they should take, on supplements that they should not take. I spoke to, he's also a friend of mine, Mweresa. I've seen him grow. The moment he told me what he's been taking, and just not even going somewhere, just Googling on my phone. I mean, that happy something, it's banned. You can't, it has contents. It's what they're listed there. You can't take them. So that is an elite athlete. Most of them are elite. They know these things. Kabu, an example. Keegan Bet. Now, you see, athlete integrity unit officials, they can come even thrice a day to take your samples. And these athletes know it. It's a sad thing that Keegan Bet, I don't know if he's lodged an appeal. I hope it goes through. But on that day, there are 2 officials who came from AU. They took his samples. Then another one came later. He refused. You see, So you can't really say he wasn't aware or it was deliberate. You really can't tell. But these are things they know. These are things they know. And then also their managements. Most of these athletes, they have their managements to update on their whereabouts.
Yes.
Keep your gun bet. Because those are 3 missed tests.
All right.
Along the way, their managers didn't actually feel on their whereabouts. So who do you blame there? Some communication. So there's something is not right. Besides that, something is not right. Doping is becoming a big issue. Our a young generation will really suffer because of doping. And the people behind, the coaches behind, the managers behind, their managements behind. 2015, Volare and Rosa, they were all suspended. AK brought them back just because they are managing many athletes. That should not be an excuse.
Okay.
That should not be an excuse.
Maybe just to talk
Indeed,
about before
okay.
we
As you finish that part of doping, it's
Yes.
a grey area, an issue that
it is
should be dealt with.
because sooner or later we will be banned. And I'm telling you, mark my words, we will be banned. If action is not taken, if AK will not come out and state the facts right, you know, it's either they take the drastic action,
All right.
they kick away all these athletes, because athletes will resign them. AK has power. They will assign them to other managers so that they can run, or they can run as individuals. AK can act on their behalf. So for me, it's very, very hard. You know, an athlete, the whereabouts of an athlete, when you are in an athlete pool, once your name has been entered into that system, it's your mandatory as an athlete to be updating wherever you will be going. If you're going,
All right.
there are those who are giving that they are police officers, maybe he was away. Wherever you are going, you have to tell those people, I will be in Cameroon, I will be in Eldoret.
Okay.
And then another thing, let me just add on another thing.
okay.
We have President Uhuru Kenyatta, just before the Rio Olympics, we were almost being banned from the Olympics.
All right.
A law was signed into place.
Yeah.
Where did it go? We have, now we have 2 doping cases that have been finalized. Rita's case and Simgong case. Why are people not in jail? People, they should pay fine or die jailed. That is how to send a message out.
All right, more questions keep arising from the doping issue in the Kenyan athletes. Many more will come up. It should indeed be dealt with. But then switching gears, still in athletics, we also have the Birmingham Diamond League, the 12th meet of the Diamond League in 2018. And this time round, we have a host of African champions who are converging to meet up with European champions as well. Among them, Conseslus Kipruto also. What do you make of the Birmingham Diamond League that will be tonight?
Birmingham, the best for me will be between Sifan and Winnie Chebet. They are meeting. Both of them are championships. Winnie from African 1500 chapter, the first ever gold for her. And Sifan, again, we are seeing here she's coming. They're going to come together. So I'm expecting a contest. But if you are to ask me who might take the day, I don't know where Sifan came from. But she has this energy, the last kick. You saw this European Championship, the one that Salpeter, and even Salpeter is in this. She's a former Kenyan, now is running for Israel. She ran 5,000 meters.
Yes.
Then she forgot the last lap. She thought she had won silver, only to relax, and then the rest was still on. So these are the unique things I'm seeing at this Diamond League. But we have races that we are going to carry the day. We have many races. A unique race is 800 meters, where Manango is going to run. But we have champions. We have Keegan, we have Conseslus, and then we have somebody very unique in that race. He's called El Bakani. El Bakani is the world lead right now. He ran 7:59. The best time ever. People are running 8:20 something, all that. So for me, those are the unique things I'm seeing today.
5,000 meters, Helen Obiri thriving at the Africa Championship, also now focusing on at least trying to break a world record.
Obiri has grown. I mean, from a girl I covered winning bronze in 1500 meters, the World Championship 2013. He's grown through the ranks. I think he won at the Commonwealth. He's going to win the Africa title. Maybe fatigue can creep in, but I bet she can make it. She's the favorite. I think she'll pull through well. And 800 meters, we have Manangoi, yes, but the world leader, Emmanuel Korir, is there. I think he'll have to atone for his second finish at the Africa Championship with the victory. In steeplechase men, we have Benjamin Keegan, who is an upcoming, I mean, he's been showing his mettle. Consensus, but Consensus, after defeating Consensus in some races, I mean, Consensus came out to show that he's a master of championship races, to win his first Africa gold awarded to the World Championship, Commonwealth, and Olympics. So there's a battle there.
All right.
Yes.
Away from that, just generally, as we sum this athletics discussion up, Kenya will still remain as an athletics powerhouse in terms of globally.
Sure.
Just generally, moving forward, our young talent. What do you make of it as we finish up?
We have the best. We are still the best, and we will be the best. It's only if structures are put in place. Look at World Under 18. Who can beat us? Nobody. Look at World Under 20. Who will beat us? Nobody. The only thing that is supposed to be done is Athletics Kenya to guard these young talents. If they are guarded well, and this management that doping issues are happening, these athletes should not be allowed to move near those managers.
We had, just before the World Under 18, we had camps across the country. It's sad that those camps have gone under. The CEO at the World Under 18, Mode, really wanted the camps to. Actually, after when the schools are on recess, we revive them, we put in money. I think he spoke about Nike and Adidas. I'm very sure those are companies that can really help us put up good camps.
Right.
Nike has a very good camp in Oregon. Why can't they do it in Kenya?
Indeed.
We have talent. We topped under 18. We topped the world in under 20. We topped in Finland. It shows that we have talent. We have talent, and then we are performing well we've started performing well in field events. You see, so it shows this talent. But we need to let's take resources to them.
All right.
Devolution is working. Let's build them good. Let's give them good facilities, good stadiums in Kamega, good stadiums in Eldoret. I think that is what will make us remain at the top.
Indeed, I will remain at the top. That is the best place to end it at, the discussion on athletics. Indeed, Kenya will still go on. We remember we are hosting the World Under 20 Championship in 2020 here in Nairobi. Also, something to look out for in the athletics fraternity also. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for your time as well. And we'll keep talking athletics